Today we've got Melissa Zaayman from CANSA, the Cancer Association of South Africa. As many of you know, it's a non-profit leader in the fight against cancer since 1931, which I did not know. You guys enable research, educate the public, and advocate and support all people affected by cancer while leading SA towards a cancer-free society. So welcome. So exciting to have you.
No, thank you, Kat. Thank you so much for the invitation, and especially in our 95th year. We get to celebrate that anniversary this year, so it's great to chat about the work that we do.
Amazing. Okay, so let's chat a bit more about cancer and the work that it does.
Perfect. Well, when people think about cancer, they often associate us immediately with cancer awareness campaigns, or they'll link straight onto one of our fundraising campaigns that they know of. But we're actually so much more than that. So essentially, we are a non-profit organization. We are dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer on individuals and families across South Africa. So we work across the entire cancer experience, right from your risk reduction to early detection, as well as care and support. And as you mentioned, we also have research of cancer, and we have our cancer advocacy. So a big part of our work is also making people or helping people understand what cancer is all about. So we provide trusted health information and education across communities about our cancer risks, the warning signs. We encourage people to go for screenings because we know that early detection is key when it comes to your cancer experience. And our cancer research that we have, it is a bit of a more complicated arm of cancer, but we use those findings to actually strengthen our health campaigns, as well as to use that information to advocate for better cancer care and policies that will benefit all South Africans. And of course, our care and support services are a huge part of what we do. And we offer counseling. It can be telecounseling or virtual counseling. We have various forms of support groups, from in-person to virtual, WhatsApp, patient navigation, home-based care. We help with stoma support, which is something that we find is a big need within communities. And we also help with providing wigs and breast prostheses to those in need, as well as medical equipment hire. So our aim is to actually help people feel more supported, be informed, and to let them know that they're not alone within this cancer journey. And of course, we have cancer care homes. So patients who have to travel far for treatment, they can stay with us for a period of time and they get taken to their appointments. Because unfortunately, again, what we see in communities is when people can't get that access to the treatment, they ultimately stop.
Exactly.
So by having our care homes, it provides that home away from home, a nice environment. Patients stay with us, they have meals with us, and they can continue with the treatment that they need.
Perfect. I wanted to speak about some female-related statistics in South Africa. Do you have any for us?
Yes. Well, the very scary statistic with regards to women and cancer specifically is that 1 in 8 women has a lifetime risk of getting cancer. So it is actually quite a high
Prevalent.
risk. Yeah, it is very prevalent. And breast cancer and cervical cancer have been identified as national priorities because there are increasing incidences occurring with them. But it's not to say that there aren't other cancers that also affect women. So out of the top 5 cancers that really affect women, according to the National Cancer Registry, it is our breast cancer, cervical cancer, basal cell carcinoma, and squamous cell carcinoma, which are types of skin cancer, and colorectal cancer. So it's quite a range of cancers that are easily detectable through screenings that women are being affected with.
Absolutely. So you've actually mentioned briefly your stance on preventative care with regards to screening and all of that. But when it comes to lifestyle factors as well, what is CANSA's stance on that?
Well, we do believe that your risk reduction and early detection are 2 of your powerful tools in the fight against cancer. So while not every cancer can be prevented, there is research linked to reducing your risk. So we encourage people to make those healthy choices where they can. So things like not smoking, limiting your alcohol intake, a healthy diet, being physically active, and of course being sunscreen. So your sunscreens, your UV protective hats and clothing. These are all everyday habits that can actually reduce your risk for cancer significantly. And equally as important is your screenings. So most cancers actually don't show any symptoms within early stages. So by going for screenings on a regular basis, it's actually very valuable because then you can detect if there are any abnormalities, which is better for treatment options. There's usually a higher success rate if the cancer is detected earlier rather than later. We also need to know our own bodies. So in that sense, don't ignore any changes. If there are symptoms that have cropped up, rather have them investigated sooner than later.
Exactly. I think one of the things that we've seen amongst the research is that women will maybe go for an initial screening without understanding that you actually meant to go within a certain amount of time. It's meant to be an annual thing, or like in my case, every 6 months. You've got certain risk factors, and so there is a period that you need to, it's not just a once off, is basically what I'm trying to say.
No, 100%. I mean, we take things like maybe our vehicles, for example. We know that after so many kilometers or so many years, it needs a service. So we need to look at ourselves like that. We also need that maintenance, 100%. So, annually, if you need to go for those screenings, go. And yes, if you have got a family history as well, yes, you may need to go, on a more regular basis for those screenings, but do it. It's definitely something that you won't be sorry investing in yourself in.
Exactly. I wanted to ask you, this is my favorite question, and I've been dying to ask this because there's such arguments about it. But the research has shown us, I mean, it's very clear where it stands, but is vaping in fact safer than smoking?
This is also one of my favorite questions because, yeah, the topic is very volatile and contestable at the moment, but it's not too simple to answer. But in a word, no, it's actually not as safe as what people think. So yes, there's still a lot of research being done into the field of it, and vaping may expose users to fewer harmful chemicals than traditional cigarettes. It still is actually delivering potentially harmful substances into the lungs and bloodstreams. Also, most vapes contain nicotine or some nicotine byproduct, and that is highly addictive. And for our younger generations, the ones that are being very much influenced by the vaping trend, nicotine can actually affect brain development as well. So there's an increased risk, and of course, for a longer term problem that is a concern for the younger generations. And yeah, there has been growing evidence that vaping is a risk for lung and heart problems. So even for an adult who feels that vaping is a better alternative to smoking, from CANSA's side, we would rather try and quit altogether, work with a health practitioner or even a smoking cessation program. But at the end of the day, you are still introducing harmful chemicals and also increasing that addiction risk.
Absolutely. Besides the damage it does to your nervous system as well, I think a lot of focus is obviously on the life situation and cancer, but there's secondary things that it causes as well. Your entire well-being is affected at the end of the day.
Yes,
I wanted to ask you, yes, what are the biggest misconceptions when it comes to cancer? What have you experienced when it comes to that?
there are so many still. I think with most of our campaigns that we put out, we've always got a little section with the facts and the myths that come with it. But from the biggest that we see, a lot of people feel that, you can't actually reduce your cancer risk. But there is research showing that,
You
around
absolutely can.
to 40% of cancers can be prevented through your lifestyle changes. So as I mentioned, the no smoking, the limiting your alcohol, healthy lifestyle, being active, and also it's going for your screenings and even, the vaccinations. So the human papilloma virus or HPV, even hepatitis B and C, you can have those vaccinations which do prevent certain types of cancers. People also feel that when you get cancer, when you get a cancer diagnosis, it's unfortunately a death sentence to you. But we're also seeing that that's actually not the case. Thanks to our technology and also the support and access that people have today, people with cancer are living longer, and the quality of their life during their experience can be better because of the medication and the treatment options that are available to some. And another common myth is that cancer only affects an older demographic.
So true. It's getting younger and younger.
Yes, or people from certain race groups, and that is not the case. Cancer actually, it doesn't discriminate. So, I mean, even us as Cancer, the organization, we have part of our services are cancer living with cancer. So we're looking after children who have cancer. And yeah, cancer, it affects anyone from, regardless of your age, your race, or your background. Some cancers, yes, are more common in older people or when you get older, but at the same time, we have these cancers affecting younger people too.
Perfect. And I wanted to ask you now, you touched on it briefly. How can someone lower their cancer risk?
Well, it actually starts with us. We start with ourselves. So, and I know it's very difficult, especially for women. We're always, wanting to take on that caregiver role and look after everybody else. But yes, when it comes to wanting to lower your cancer risk, you do start with yourself. So staying physically active, eating a balanced diet, maintaining a healthy weight, being sun smart and, staying out of the sun and protecting your skin. Even something as simple as getting the correct amount of sleep that you require. All of those add up to contributing to that overall picture of your well-being. And of course, don't wait until you feel unwell to go to the doctor or to pay attention to your health at least. Go for your regular checkups, as we said earlier. If you know that after a certain age you do need to go, annually, go for those checkups then annually.
Absolutely.
And it's, usually it's a lot of different aspects. So there can be blood pressure, it can be your sugar screenings and stuff, but the cancer screenings are also part of those checks. So have those cancer screenings. Ladies, go for those pap smears when you need to. Yeah, so always keeping up to date with that. Educating yourself on symptoms. And as I said earlier as well, sometimes the symptoms don't present until the cancer is more advanced. So the earlier those screenings are done, the better. And then, of course, like I said, keep yourself informed. So our website, we have a lot of resources on not only the types of cancers, but also on how you can make these practical, easy, healthy choices out there.
Perfect. I mean, there's so much material on the website. It's very, very informative. I wanted to ask you about cervical and breast cancer specifically. It's very widespread and can be prevented or caught early on. Can we explore this a bit more?
Yes, this is a very important topic because the good news with your breast and cervical cancer is that they can often be detected and early detected. And of course, with a lot of cervical cancer cases, it can also be prevented. So although breast cancer is one of the most common cancers that is affecting women, the risk does increase with age. However, younger women are being diagnosed with breast cancer. So that's why it is always important for women to know themselves. So if there's a change in the breast, if there's maybe the discovery of a lump or maybe even a change under the arm area, go to the doctor rather sooner than later. It might not be cancer, but at the same time, it is rather better to have that looked at by your healthcare professional. So again, I'll add it in there, go for the regular checkups when you need to, but then also always be mindful of your own body. And with cervical cancer, we know that a lot of the cervical cancer cases are a result of the HPV virus. And of course, there is the HPV vaccination, which can help reduce that risk of cervical cancer. But of course, pap smears also detect abnormal cells. So again, going for those regular pap smears can help with that early detection of it. And we've also seen that cervical cancer is very prevalent within the African women community within South Africa. And although breast cancer is the leading cancer, cervical cancer actually has a higher mortality rate. So sadly, more women are dying from cervical cancer because of the fact that they're, either are afraid to talk about it, there's maybe delays with treatment, exactly, or because they haven't gone for checks sooner rather than later. But of course, we know that, these days with, pap smears, even our cancer care centers offer pap smears. We're trying to make access to these screenings more accessible for more people than anyone.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up environmental factors that impact the risk of cancer because I think it's something very much less spoken about and people don't really understand the connection. Can we just explore that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So the environmental factors that, can maybe contribute to the risk of cancer are things that we maybe encounter in our everyday lives. So yes, our smoking and vaping or maybe drinking or not eating a healthy balanced diet, those are obviously factors as well. But then you have exposure to harmful chemicals that you might not necessarily be aware of. It could also be in your workplace or within certain environments that you are. And then exposure to the sort of infections such as HPV or the hepatitis B's and C's. But with the vaccinations around that, then you can reduce the risk.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to jump onto cancer care for South African women in the public sector because we know there's a huge difference between public sector and private sector care. In your opinion, is the government doing enough for public care?
Sadly, we do still see a lot of challenges within the public space. So there are still delays and to access as well as to treatment. Yeah, and also in terms of distances that people have to travel to get to hospitals because there's maybe not a public facility in all areas. You might find there's one public hospital that's servicing a number of towns, and sometimes people are traveling 2 to 3 hours to access that hospital. So as CANSA, we have our advocacy department and our head of advocacy, Zodwa Sikole. She's an absolute angel on our team. She, with her team, they help so many patients within this sort of context. We've actually partnered with the provincial departments of health, and we have memorandums of understanding with them where we're ensuring that healthcare professionals, as well as even traditional health leaders and also outreach leaders, are trained within the sphere of cancer, and especially the top 5 cancers affecting people within South Africa. We're also trying to ensure that there is access to screening for all, and especially those in rural communities or communities with very limited resources. We're trying to make sure that services are brought to them where they are falling short. And we've also established what we call cancer information and support desks at provincial hospitals. And these are manned by our volunteers and staff members.
That's amazing.
They help patients within their cancer experience. And again, it's from patients who are maybe receiving that diagnosis and not maybe being helped anywhere further. So it's a question of, okay, well, this is what it is, and yes, you're going to go through treatment, and that's where the conversation stops with the healthcare professionals within the government sectors. So our information and support desks, depending on needs of patients, they actually help not only the patients but also their loved ones and family members, where they refer to our free counselling services. So like I said, either our tele-counselling or virtual counselling. And we also offer this in multiple South African languages. So we are really trying to, avail ourselves to be there for as many people as what we can. And we also have our psychosocial support. Sometimes we actually have to, through the information and support desk, refer to Zodwa and the advocacy team for help. We even have referrals for patients who need help with pain management, because they're not necessarily getting that from the healthcare providers at the provincial hospitals. So these are services that we are offering patients free of charge. And then even helping with things like our knitted knocker breast prostheses, for ladies, and, helping them receive wigs as well. I mean, we know how so much of, maybe how you also look influences how you feel while you're going through this. So if we can, help someone just have that little bit of normality again, a little bit of dignity and quality of life, then, that's where we are. So we're trying to bridge that gap by having those services in the provincial hospital as an extra level of support for patients.
Incredible work, absolutely incredible. And yes, everything is so needed, and I'm sure so valued as well. I wanted to chat about the importance of access to primary healthcare and, of course, cancer specialists, because I also think we've got a shortage of them in South Africa. What more can be done to dislodge those barriers, because there are huge barriers?
Definitely. And I mean, cancer is one of the leading health challenges in South Africa. It's already sort of been predicted that by the year 2030, the incidences are going to be doubling, with a projected 220,000 new cases of cancer. So access to healthcare professionals and specialists essentially is absolutely critical right now. So there has been a little bit of progress made, but it's also not a lot. So again, from CANSA's side, again, it's just falling onto our advocacy side to really try and work with those provincial departments to break down those barriers so that we can reach more cancer patients who need the services. And also from our side, what we're trying to do is the fact that we offer our tele and virtual counseling services in multiple South African languages. We find that, when you're able to communicate in your language and what you feel comfortable with, it makes you feel more supported. It actually makes you want to have those conversations. So by us being able to do that, we know that, more patients will actually feel like they can open up and they can talk and they can get the support. And we also have our materials, such as our infographics and posters that educate the public, so they have the cancer symptoms and, also the risks of cancers, what could possibly cause it. It's in multiple languages as well. So we're also trying to, where it's falling short on a higher level from our side, we're trying to educate the public.
Exactly. Okay, great. I wanted to chat about my favorite topic, research. What cancer research is currently being done? What kind of studies are currently underway? And which universities or institutions are affiliated? Because I actually think from my dealings with some researchers, it's actually quite widespread. I know UCT, Stellenbosch, UJ, yeah.
That's 100%. Yeah, our research, I did mention it's a little bit more of a complicated side of cancer, because a lot of people immediately think of, okay, we're going with cure, and that's not actually where we are. And you're correct. We are affiliated with a lot of universities within South Africa, but our research is focusing, our research projects are focusing more on, how can we improve cancer care, and also how can we improve the cancer education, as well as risk reduction and early detection. So we do support a number of applied postgraduate research projects at the moment. And as I said, they are actually in partnership with a good couple of universities around South Africa. And we are really trying to take these findings and put them into real world action so that we can strengthen cancer control and advocacy work within South Africa.
Absolutely, and I'm sure public health specialists can assist with that in terms of spreading awareness and translating the messaging. to make it more accessible to everyone. So that's amazing. The last question I wanted to ask you was, are we getting closer to getting rid of the stigma of cancer? Because really there should be none. I mean,
Exactly. It is improving. I would say that, yes, it's not 100% there yet, but we are improving. For many people, there's still a fear, when it comes to cancer. There's uncertainty, there's the misconceptions. When you hear you got cancer, immediately it's, you go into the negative, like, I'm going to die. People don't want to seek medical help, also because maybe they've heard of someone else not having a good experience. Now they don't want to go through that, but that's also a big difference with cancer. Everybody's experience is different. Although there may be similarities, and if you chat to a support group, it's people who understand what you're going through, but each person's story and what they've had to deal with is different. But the thing is, there's also the cultural misconceptions that come into play, which is why there is the stigma. So again, looking at, cancers only affect an older group of people or a certain race group, which it's not. But, if people can have that attitude change and actually start speaking up, that's why we like to encourage our cancer survivors and patients to talk about their stories. And as soon as we have more people who are engaging in that way, it makes it a lot easier for the next person to do that. And that's where we actually start removing those barriers when it comes to stigma. Because once people start speaking up and letting people know that, well, it's nothing to be ashamed of if you're diagnosed with cancer. This is what you go through. And also knowing that there's an organization like CANSA to support and help you through that experience. We know that we can then actually break down those stigmas, that people don't have to, they're not going to be ostracized, or they don't have to face this on their own, or that there's no services to help them.
Yeah, you're so right. I wanted to check, are there any upcoming events or workshops or collabs that you want to mention in the next couple of months?
Always. Cancer is always on the go. Not only with our education and awareness, but there's also so many ways that people can be involved with us. So we're actually heading into our Cancer High Tea season now. This is part of our Cuppa for Cancer campaign. So there will be a regional events. We run our cancer shave-a-thons now throughout the year. So schools, corporates, community groups, they can reach out to us and organize a shave-a-thon with us. There's always regional events going on, either maybe a cancer walk, or sometimes we even have projects like our bounce-a-thons. So a lot of different activities that happens in the regions, and of course Cancer Relay for Life as well, which is one of our special projects. And then, when it comes to also, in the sense of collab with us, corporates can even partner with us for employee wellness. CANSA has an employee wellness program, which is a great benefit to employers as well as employees. So for anyone who's always got the expression of, oh, well, I'm too busy, I can't go to the doctor for my health screening, CANSA can come to you. We can come to the workplace, and it's not just from an awareness point of view, although we come with our awareness and educational material, but we actually conduct the screenings in workplaces as well. So lots of great ways to get involved with us. And a lot of our work is also run on a volunteer basis. So we always welcome volunteers, and we have a lot of different aspects where volunteers can be involved with us, from patient care to, even sometimes admin and virtual assisting. So it would be great if we can grow.
Fantastic. So now, can you tell us whether you want to volunteer or you need the services? How would people contact you? Social media, website, can you just run through them?
Well, like CANSA, the multifaceted organization, there's also so many multifaceted ways of contacting us. So our website is cansa.org.za, and we are also on all the socials. We have a national Facebook page as well as all the regional pages as well, so by province. There's Instagram, LinkedIn, X, we're even on TikTok, and we have a WhatsApp channel, which is great because, the WhatsApp channel, whatever we are posting on our socials, it's going on the WhatsApp channel as well. So it's a nice, quick way to access information quickly. We also have a lot of video resources on YouTube as well, and a cancer podcast called On the Cancer Couch. So we have that. Then we have our national help desk, which is a lovely team of ladies who respond to inquiries via our toll-free line, which is 0800 22 6622, or you can email info@cancer.org.za. We have WhatsApp support as well, which is also multi-language, so English and Afrikaans, as well as various African languages. And our local cancer care centers in your area, you can also reach out and give them a call.
Great, thank you so much. This has been so informative. We could actually speak for another half hour. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. What an amazing resource.
No, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to share. This is, such a passionate, experience for us. We love telling the cancer stories. So this is an honor for us to be able to share with everyone what we are doing and how we're helping.
Thank you.